Alright, we're going to go into the Bible by looking into the stars. Right now, let's put up the time real quick so you can see what the date and time is. It's 11/18/2017, and we're in Las Vegas. Rigel is in the sky as we speak. The constellation of Taurus is in the east, with Pollux and Castor over here in Gemini. This is a good way to start looking at this when you turn it on. So you get, if you'll do it every day at a specific time when you turn it on, mine's set for the south, then you can get a good look of what's on the horizon and get that in your mind of how the stars rise and set. That way, if everything went down, you'll be familiar with these constellations with the naked eye. That's what this is really all about. It was about navigation. It was about how to get from point A to point B, and the stars always showed you the way. They were the guiding lights. And then the four fixed stars that always showed you the way. And here, and this one, it's Aldebaran, is a fixed star in Taurus on the fixed cross. It's in the left hand of Thalum. Now here is Alcyon. Well, this is the Pleiades here. Let's turn some stuff on. Oops. You're looking at the Pleiades there. Here, let's turn this around. This is considered the flock in Egyptian. We're just going to jump right into what I wanted to talk about, and that is that book. To me, it is a historical book. They used the story of the stars to lay down like a mythical timeline, somewhat like what was done in India with the Mahabharata. All these so-called religious books were a way of keeping track of what was, what is, and what is to come, and where they're at, their knowledge base. Only the elite were educated in these alphabets, in these books, until recently. Now everybody gets this knowledge. This is another sign. We are entering into the age of Aquarius, but I understand what we've been given is a false sign. We've been given false information in our books and in our education systems, our religions and our churches. But we can use the template of the heavens, because they're going to tell the same story because of those wheels, those circles. Let's go to the Egyptian. I want to go to the Egyptian because that's where this story starts, right? Moses comes out of Egypt. When we talk about the Old Testament, you're talking about the God of the burning bush. And people assume that that is the God in Genesis, and that is incorrect. How come we don't get to meet him till then? It is just a long strand. I do believe because the astrologers wrote this book, they saw the Zodiac itself as God. So this was just one aspect of God. If you look up the word Allah in what they call reverse psychology or in dreamland metaphor, it literally means just one aspect of God. So I'm kind of seeing God as this whole circle. It's why they chose the letter O between the G and the D, because those two letters kept getting swapped around. So it's like 3.5. I don't know a better way to say that. The O is 3.5. the G and the D being 3 and 4, and swapping back and forth numerically between the Western Greek languages and the Eastern Fire Arabic Sanskrit languages. Okay, so here we are in this story, and here's the flock in Egyptian. Why am I not getting the info I want? Okay, we got this now. So this is Sa. He's the great wizard. Egypt was known as the land of Bu-Wezer. Bu means land, and we get the word visor or advisor. He is the advisor to the king. He's on the fixed cross with the king, and he's pointing to Aldebaran, the fixed star, which protects the flocks. Hold on, let me get rid of some of this. And the Pleiades, which is just how here it should be, the flock. We'll see that in a minute as it changes. And over here was called the sheepfold. This is the sheepfold, and this is in Aries. This is the Pleiades, and they're the flock. And that's the story you are told, because it's about the shepherd kings. Okay? But Orion is not God. He's the hand of God. He's the right hand of God, because he's Taurus in the right hand, nailed to that cross. And the nail is the star Aldebaran. He is the guiding light in the right hand. And the Pleiades is the flock. The flock comes out of Egypt. Let's go look at that in the Western. I'm telling you. I had a conversation with somebody this morning about the book. And they're very upset about the book. But that's because everybody assumes it's a spiritual book, and it's not. It's an astrology book and a history book. And it's not even in order. This was laid down by the Church of Nicaea. It's all Jupiterian influenced, but you can use the different traditions, religions, and zodiacs around the world. And if you look at it long enough and put them all together, you'll start seeing the truth of it. That's why all Freemasonry is under this in Orion, because he's Bu-Wezer. He's the advisor to the king. And great knowledge came down through here. Gemini, after the flood, this is the time of Hermes, Thoth, all this Viracocha and Ptah, and all this great wisdom came down through here. Mercury is about speech. Mercury rules this, and he's in the heavens. It's mutable heaven. And he went all over the world laying down this great knowledge after the flood to dig it up. And so they dig up Egypt here, and they try to represent that knowledge from, I guess this would be called the age of Atlantis. But there's always a catastrophe between the ages. That too is spoken of in the text in the Bible. The Pleiades is the seven sisters. Benjamin Franklin was Grand Master Mason of the Seven Sisters. It's a French masonry. He was also Grand Master of the Hellfire Club, which would represent here. Now the flock comes out and goes down to here. Well, this is old Leviathan in the story down here. This is the beast in the abyss. And so the flock comes out into here, and they get cast down. They're down here. This is the story. Different god over here. Venus ruled this over here. Mercury ruled this. He's a great educator as well. Mercury's a great teacher. Right along with those air signs of Aquarius. But then Venus is connected because she's in his right hand. She is in his right hand. This is why when this god came along, she got demonized. She had already been demonized because she rules Libra in the wisdom of the heavens, in cardinal heaven, the highest, and she's cast down after Libra passed the fall equinox. O Lucifer, how art thou fallen? Well, that's okay. She gets to rise again. Not this time around. It's going to be a while. But right now, Taurus, that she does rule, that's in his right hand, now will take it, this year, took on the summer solstice, was in Taurus this year. And that means that Thalem is standing up on that cross. His right hand holds the summer solstice. His left hand will hold the winter solstice. The fall will fall in Leo. Now the kings of the earth are fallen as the kings of heaven rise. This is the story to come. This is how they know what's going on, because it's the great magical wheel. So we get over here to this god. He's got the sheep down here in the sheepfold. He's got them all rounded up, and they're waiting to be cast into the abyss. They're in hell here. You know, when you talk about Mars, Aries, and the god of fire, there are many aspects to that. This is the god in the Bible, what I call thou shalt not. Everything is about what not to do. Not what to do, but what not to do. And it tried to seclude itself from everything and everybody. It was rising in the east, and it wanted its glory. And it does it by war. There's other aspects to Mars and fire. When you look at the other signs, this is cardinal. We won't see that harshness again for a long time. At this point, it can only decline. After Taurus, that cardinal cross will step up. And then Aries is going to move into that summer solstice position. But at the same time, Capricorn's going to be on the head of that cross. And that fire god will be in Capricorn's right hand. So it'll be controlled at that point, just like this is. Just like this is. This is why this is so important, because it's on that fixed cross with Thalem. That's why you got to know your cross. Are you fixed? Are you mutable? Or are you cardinal? Who are you working with? Who's in control on your cross? Who's got authority over you, and who do you have authority over? Where are we at in the scheme of things? I'm not sure exactly where that information comes from that is attributed to this name, Jesus. But whoever was interpreting the Zodiac at that point, and again, we really don't know how old all of this information is. We don't have any idea. When I look at like the Nag Hammadi, and when you talk about the Gnostic view of this, again, people are getting drugged way off into this spiritual thing. And I realized why we do that. Because we're emotional beings. Because of the chakras in our body. And because we're all still babes. I don't think I don't think we've become human yet, or mankind. We're all still children and kids. And that's the difference between sheep and goats, by the way. If you're goats, you call your children kids. Or you're taught to. The ones who call them children, they separate. Anyway, as we move through the Bible, and you're right here between Aries and Pisces is when we're told the story of the New Testament happened. The changing of the ages between Aries and Pisces was taken out. Some of it was left in, you'll know, as the Maccabees, but that was extremely Masonic, and it was pure Babylonian. I don't even know how they can call it Hebrew unless Hebrew is this hidden Babylonian language for the priest, like Latin is to the Italians. Why does Italy have two languages? Well, the Babylonians did as well. When the Hebrews was swept off into Babylon, when they came out, there was a big ruckus because not one Levite among them, not one priest was Hebrew. They were all Babylonian. They didn't have a pure blood priestly lineage anymore. The Babylonians had taken over that and rewrote it to what we have today. So we really have no pure doctrine from this age. It's all influenced by Vulcan, Molech, these different Ahura Mazda, these different aspects of this fire god. But then on the other side of that coin, this is what you got to look at. We've talked about the coin having two sides, and then there those times that the coin stands on the middle. There are three aspects to fire. Aries is just cardinal fire. That's the apex, the highest point, the most high. That's where those terms come. The most high belongs to the cardinal cross. Your most high fire god, your Aries. But Jupiter rules the mutable fire. Jupiter rules mutable signs like Mercury, because Jupiter means expansion. And things grow when you are in a sign that Jupiter rules. When you are in a sign Saturn rules, things contract. So you're going to have a lot of contraction here. Contraction. But this is expansive fire. And its philosophy, it's a more spiritual fire than a tangible fire. It's mutable, it's changeable. So, and then there's the other side to that fire. And the sun took control of that in Leo. And it's that king, the one that outshines everybody. And he's fixed. And he's at the foot of the cross that we are told to follow. We're told to follow this fixed cross with Thalem at the top of that cross. A lion in his feet, Venus in his right hand, and Venus in his right hand and Mars in his left hand. Or Antares and Aldebaran, however you want to look at it. But where we came from, according to the book, out of Egypt, the flock. That's the sheep. Did I do that right? Why is it not translating for me? It's not translating for me now. But I think we get the story. Oh, I didn't update this, did I not? Let's put it back in the Egyptian. Because this is where the story really came from. I wonder what I can get it to do here. There we go. I did it. This is Sa. This is where the Greeks get the word Sophia from. Is Sa, the great wizard. And then you'll see Sirius down here is Kenemet. But Sa points to the fixed star of Aldebaran, and he's the clown. This is where Mickey Mouse and Fantasia comes from. They're showing you the original Egyptian. This is what Disney's all about. Like Sydney, Australia is an anagram to Disney. But here's the flock. You can see the name now. And here's the sheepfold down here. And great transformations fixing to come through there. This is the great bird in Egyptian. You have the lower house, the house, and the upper house. Just like Jesus said, meet in the upper house. In my Father's house are many mansions. So you want to meet in the upper house. There were giants in the earth in those days and after that. You can just pop back and forth between them and see what you want to see. And this is where it all comes from. It's not a spiritual book. It's not a scary voodoo hoodoo book. We are magical beings. We are becoming. We are in an alchemical wheel. When you talk about alchemy, that's why they tell you we're in a petri dish. Right? We're an experiment in a petri dish. We're not an experiment. This is very purposeful done. But here's the deal. It's all in the tongue. If you can hear it, you can hear through it all. In alchemy, in that petri dish, what do? You want to culture it. They culture it and then take out a sample. And what is culture? For someone to be cultured, they generally are either well-traveled, Mercury, or they're are well-read. You need somebody that's been exposed, like here in America. Believe it or not, it seems like chaos, but we're cultured. Because we've been exposed to different religions, different cultures. We've been exposed to everything that came out of these 3 ages. All of it's here. All of it from all over the wheel, really. From the stories that go back that have been in cultures, they're all here with us now. And if you will, that's why we need to be inclusive. You have to be cultured if you want to be a part of that sample that's removed out. It grows like mycelium in mushrooms. The way we're connected is like mycelium. We're all our own little mushroom, our own little consciousness, but we're all connected to each other by this great web that nobody can see. Because we're inside this petri dish down here in the sheepfold of Leviathan, waiting to be redeemed by the living water from heaven. And if you want to talk spiritual, then you're talking about the age of Aquarius. That's what when they translate the word spirit, it comes from that word pneumatic. Air, heaven, spirit. It all has the same root. And Saturn rules over that. Saturn rules over it with Pluto, the subconscious, symbology. That's why when Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto meet in 2020, Jupiter's done. Jupiter's lies and illusion are done. He punished us. It was a joke. It was a joke. And they're all laughing at us. But Saturn says we cannot respond with anger. We have to learn to laugh at ourselves. We were silly little kids, and we fell for the lie. A lot of people got hurt. Is there going to be rectification? That's up to karma to decide. We don't get to make that choice. The minute you start making that choice for other people, then that comes back on you. Then karma's going to step in. And it's like a penalty. It's like playing hockey, and you're going to be put in the penalty box. Because this age is not about hellfire and brimstone, or being in the abyss, or being in slavery in Egypt. There's so much argument going on about who the pharaohs really were. Do we really want to go there? Because this is the black land. So if slavery comes out of there, you can't be the slaves and the slavers. In all actuality, they were. They sold their own. They slaved over their own. But why do the pictures all look like brown people? Because everything you're looking at, Egyptian, is influenced by Alexander the Great, and he was from Macedonia. He conquered Babylon. He conquered all the way to the Indus Valley. He tried to go into India, but he couldn't make it. Want to know why? Because India venerated, it was the land of the feathers too, the land of the flying gods. It was an air sign. He couldn't go there yet. It wasn't his world age. Everything makes sense when you look at it from a heavenly perspective, when you look at the pure story in the heavens and then look back in those books. Some stories are talking about over expansive eons of time, from here to here. And then others are talking about just one deacon in one age. And how do you know? Well, you got to get to know these deacons. You got to get to know these signs. You got to get to know these fire gods, these water gods. The Greeks can teach you everything you want to know about Jupiter. They wrote more about Jupiter than anything. So what age did they really come out of? That shit's older than what people think. That comes from here. Those Greek ruins are far older. The Romans and these symbols go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This place is much older than we're told. And it takes a lot longer to get around this circle than we're told. We're told 25,000 years. Yeah, the sun moves 1 degree in 72 years. And 72 times 365. Times 360, the circle. But there is a retrograde to the sun. I've sat and watched it happen. I played with this thing long enough and watched the calculations and done them myself, and they're right. The sun has a retrograde motion to the backdrop of the Zodiac. It moves, you're going to love this, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Now calculate that in and tell me how long it takes to get around this circle, because that's exactly what we're doing. And that's exactly what happens when the other planets retrograde. You take 1 step forward and you take 2 steps back. Because you got to come to 2 stop points. You have to go forward, you have to stop. Then you have to go in reverse. And then you have to stop. Then you have to go back. And then it happens again in another sign. And to learn what signs it happens in, you'll learn what it's looking to review. Mercury retrograde's about review. And there are different reviews depending upon the sign. North nodes and south nodes, I don't do that myself. That is, I'm not that knowledgeable in it. It seems to be extremely accurate to me, but I don't put it in my charts. I'm giving you your cross. It is your burden to bear. I'm going to give you your cross and explain to you your cross. If I see anything in it that I'm knowledgeable of, I'll share that knowledge with you. But to learn about your cross and how the planets are lined up in aspect to you, even your moon nodes, that's completely up to you. That's your burden. I can't do that for everybody. I'm simply giving you your cross. So you'll understand from a perspective of the book that you've been taught from, that you were told was a spiritual book, and it's not. If anything, I look at it as an instructional manual. That's why you will call his name Emmanuel. He's the fifth manual. He's the fifth book. It's the fifth book. He's Ishmael. He's Emmanuel. He's the man of God. And his name is Thalem, the great educator. This being, to me, I look at it and I'm like, okay, obviously he's going to be born with Saturn and Mercury in his first house. Saturn and Mercury both, and Venus there as well. And these two signs, the signs of the lucky stars, the golden age. You want to know what Aquarius and Capricorn are going to be like, you need to look into the India. Look into the Vedas. I'm in Las Vegas. That's the Vedas. You look into these stories, and because that's their setting. They come in the Egyptian. I've told this, I'm going to say it again because it's relevant to right now. There were only 9 constellations because every earth sign was connected to heaven. It was heaven on earth. And every time we come into that time of an air sign next to an earth sign, it's heaven on earth. So they didn't separate them. It was only 9. And it was Aquarius and Capricorn. It was Pan, the goat man. It was Semiramis, the woman, and her serpent snakes in Libra. It was Libra, heaven, and Virgo, earth, Semiramis, or Semiramis. I hate people arguing with me about dialect when they don't even know what it is. And then you had Gemini and Egypt. Gemini, you'll see this represented in Egypt as the two sisters, Nephti and Isis, and then Pharaoh, the masculine aspect, even though this is ruled by Venus. But it's the twins, and then the ruler, the twins and the ruler, and he's the advisor to the king. Today, in the pictography, to me, he looks like the matador that slays the bull. It has a very Spanish flair to it. This is why they do that. And it's very symbolic of the destruction of Freemasonry and of that cross. They're trying to destroy the cross. Like I said, when we came into this time of Protestants, when the Protestants, in symbology, the Catholics always have the man on the cross. He's on the cross. They show you him hanging there. But the Protestants used an emotional trigger to take Jesus off that cross because he's ascended. He's in heaven. He's not on the cross anymore. That's what they say. They don't realize what they're saying. They're casting a spell. He's not on the cross anymore. Yes, he is. He always will be. He's fixed. You can't get him down. He's nailed there in the heavens. You'll never get him down unless you what? Change the zodiac. And what are they going to do? Seek to change the times and the seasons. That's what they're always doing. They're always trying to change the zodiac. They're always trying to change it in their favor. Who's doing this? Jupiter and Mars is doing this. These two. And what is that? That's Asia and that's Europe. And they use Africa and Freemasonry to do it. Because they want to hijack this age. Just like in the picture of the Savior of the world. They've already changed his color to blue. They put the boys in, it's little boy blue now. They're doing everything they can to hijack this age. Look how they methodically got that X in right there. And this is Asian. This comes out of Persia you're looking at. The Arabs picked it up. But you can look at the paintings themselves and realize that they're Oriental. Even Crowley's work told you Order of Orientis, the OTO, the Order of the Temple Orientis, yeah, the Oriental Temple. And he did Thelema, which is a play on Thalem. I wondered, did he really know what he was doing? Was he making it all up? Or did he really channel who? Lamb. Lamb. The Lamb. Thelma, Thalem. Thelema, the Lamb. It's all Fomalhaut. So where's this information coming from? I have to say, it comes from the stars and the constellations themselves. Even in the scriptures, if that's what you want to call it, it's a script, all right. The angels appear to you. They appear to you, right? How do they appear? Well, you got to be outside looking at them. When you talk about Aquarius, this being a spiritual sign, it comes to you in spiritual ways. When the other constellations that are more material, earthly, they come to you in tangible ways. What star's ruling that sign? Who's in it affecting it? The variables are astronomical. Pun intended. That's why you need to keep an eye on it daily. But the book, if the Bible would be an excellent book if it moved from the church into an observatory, into a classroom setting, into an alchemy class, into an astronomy class. It's so full of information, it's incredible. Even a history class. You can start easily putting more of a better chronology on history by using the Zodiac in its alchemy. Babylon clearly comes from here before the flood. The Babylon we're dealing with was resurrected. This was when the kings were set up, when kings came into existence. All the stories are here, and you can go around the world and get the different stories for the different constellations. And then you'll start to see the similarities between them. And you'll start to learn the different names of the different gods. And their attributes, their characteristics. But it doesn't... everybody has their place. All of these gods are represented right now here on earth within all of us. That's why they tell you we are gods. And we are becoming. Because that's what Aquarius is. It's knowing, it's becoming. It's taking this expansive abyss and this cultured petri dish of these 3 ages and these 3 continents, and throwing them over here in one big pool, and then taking out the best of the best. And that's where the best of all of it is what will begin with this age. And the rest of this that came out of here will be discarded. And I speak of information, not people. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the doctrine, the dogma, the control, the power will be stripped. And it'll all go right over here. And each one of these think they're going to get a piece of that pie. No, they're going to realize they are the pie. And they already got their piece. Now it's time for real peace. P-E-A-C-E, not P-I-E-C-E. The P-I-E can see the E. He's E. That's why it's... Why do they do that? Why email? They tell you it's from electronics. Well, where does that come from? It comes from the elect, the electricity. It's just a play on words. And they try to assume power, getting you to cast spells upon yourself. All right, I think I pretty much said what I wanted to say. On the right shoulder of Thalum is the first lucky star of the king. And may he come quickly. I hopefully will have a representation of this on the earth. Hopefully it won't end up a religion, but something that can exalt us much higher. Religion holds you down. It holds you back. That's why people have low self-esteem, because of the lies they were told here that belonged to this age. This was the age of grace and mercy, but they had to keep those lies alive because it gave them power. That's why I'm telling you, Mars and Jupiter cut a deal. Look at the church. Zionist. You got the Freemasons over here. You got in Taurus, you got the Zionist and Aries, and they're resurrected, right? This is resurrected. And then you have the Vatican, or Christianity, the Christianity here. But we're coming out of the Christianity, and we're going into the water bearer, which here, it's the well bucket. This is the well of souls in Arabic. And this is the king at the well. And who's at the well? The woman on the other end is at the well. And so this is the well of souls, what they call the Gulf. It is living water. And it comes from the mouth of Thalum to the king. And the upper house where you meet is Pegasus. This is the upper house. He's the first lucky star of the livestock. Notice it's live. He's the livestock. We're all stock, right? We're cattle. We're in the stockyard. The church is still over here in the sheepfold. The church, that old-time religion, yeah, it's old-time, all right, because it's stuck back here worshiping this god of fire in the sheepfold. Their hearts are in the right place. They separated themselves and put themselves in here. And there needs to be a great falling away of all these ages as we ascend into the heavenly air sign and meet Thalum in the air. I'm sorry, but it's funny how they make a big hoopla out of that when it's just talking about the Zodiac. But it does have an effect on us. But the reason that they get this spiritual game on is because we are emotional people. They're the bully. Who's the bully? He's the biggest guy, and that's Jupiter. He's the big boy on the block. He's the bully. He does it because he can. And Saturn allows it for now. That's fixing to come to a halt. We're still in that 216-year period it takes to move from one age to another. But every day we're getting closer and closer and closer. Every day we know a little bit more and a little bit more. And we can know a lot more if we'll start learning this. Especially if you'll start learning it in the different traditions. As much as you can find anywhere. I did not have the advantage of Stellarium. I had to do this the hard way, and it took decades, and I was lucky to find what information I did. When the internet opened up, I exploded. I spent 10 years going through websites like occult.biz and Google Images and putting all this iconography and symbology together. But everybody's here. You can look at your sign in these different cultures and know thyself. I'm giving you all the tools. I'm giving every waking minute that I can to making these videos and doing these charts. It literally has become my life work. But unfortunately, it will not sustain me. I do have a job interview Monday. So let's hope I get it. All right. My little sheep. We're all sheep here on this side. We'll get to be kids one day. That's why Saturn rules childhood over here in Capricorn. Capricorn is the sea goat. It's a sea goat. And that's where they get the word zygote from. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I did a lot of videos on Orion talking about Freemasonry. I did the Wizards of Orion. I did the ancient Pharaoh shows showing the connections between the Egyptians and the Native Americans. They have the flip language. I've done my homework on all of this, but now it's time to give what I've learned to the people and let them carry it forward. I hope y'all take this seriously as I do. To me, it is the biggest issue on this planet is religion, because all wars are started about religion and money. And because they make money off of it, they'll start a war just to make the money. It doesn't have anything to do with ideology. It has nothing to do with benefiting the people. The magic the magic spell was cast, and we were all blinded by the light. All right. You know what to do. Commit that random act of kindness every single day. Bank your future. Learn to navigate this wheel. The channel, I still need donations. I'm just going to have to start asking every time. The last few videos I've made asking donations, I got one. So I just need to keep asking at least until I get more secure employment. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm determined about that. This channel is going to stay right where it is, regardless of how I have to do it. But it has been a struggle, and we all struggle. Shit, I know. That's why I give away free charts. If you can just wait in line for it, they're all free. I've just got too many right now. And I would love to devote all my time to those charts, but it's just not financially possible right now. Maybe a few years down the road I can do that. But I'll keep making these as I'm led to do it, really. They're spontaneous. I don't edit them. I don't put snippets or try to take something back I said. It is what it is. And just let the people take it forward. And I don't know about you, but I have a lot of wounds in my life that were healed just because I knew this knowledge. When I found the cross, it wasn't such a burden. I had been carrying this mutable cross over here. And some of you have been carrying this cardinal cross over here. You need to know what your cross is, and that's what you carry. But we're not required to carry each other's. They did that. To me, what went on over here, you remember when Jesus went up the Via Dolorosa, right? He's got the cross and he's on his way to Calvary, and he drops the cross, so they give it to this other guy to carry, right? That's the guy in the painting. It never was this Jesus character, this Theseus character. It never, even Monty Python tells you this in The Life of Brian, which is a play on the brain, and he was Roman, but his mother was Jewish, so that's the play on the religion. It's Roman and Jewish. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. But they've crucified our minds with cardinal fire and mutable water. And we need to rise above that, come out of hellfire, brimstone, the abyss, and ascend up to meet Thalem in the clouds when he rises in the east. All right, and we'll watch that. Turn on Stellarium every day and wait for Thalem. I appreciate y'all. I hope you appreciate me. And I want everybody to have a better life. This information can free this planet from the lies and the abuse that goes along with those lies. And it's time for these people, I don't know, I've kind of already seen it. They do just step aside. I've literally seen it. There will be a great war, but the ones that are in power, they remain untouched during this war because they're the ones that are going to start it. But in the end, they realize they lost everything, and they simply leave. They banish themselves. All right, and they take that felonious knowledge, is gone immediately with them. I'll tell you about this one day. This ain't the appropriate video for it. Maybe I'll do it after this video. But I've already seen all this happen. I believe the more we get rid of as I went into menopause and this water over here started depleting from my body and I was becoming dehydrated, you walk more and more in spirit. Our spirits are trapped in water. If you've ever drowned, you will clearly understand that. You're separate from your body, but you're still trapped in water. And your body's water. So that's why they want you to drink all that water every day. Everything you're told is a freaking lie. And you need to bank on that. Everybody's starting to slowly come around to this information. And you go through these stages. First you're pissed off as hell, you're angry, you're mad, but you still want to defend what you think is that book. And then when you find out the book's lie, it's like going through culture shock. There's that word again, culture shock. We need to get over the shock value of all of this and become cultured. And to me, that's the key. This is being cultured. As you learn about each of these houses and who they represented on this planet, you become cultured because you need to learn about Taurus. You need to learn about Africa and Egypt. If you want Aries, you need to learn about all of Asia, not just Jerusalem and Babylon. But this knowledge was expansive through all of Asia. And then this age, you need to learn all these Viking gods and all these water gods and everything that came out of Europe. But as we move into Aquarius, this is the Americas. He's Pan-America. He's Ma, A-M, Pan-Am. Ma and Pan. He's Mother Pan. He's Pan-Am. He's Baphomet. You need to learn everything you can about North America, the goat, and South America. Now, they might have that inverted. The original Pan goat man was one, but I questioned Capricorn being on the top, because clearly they're the leader right now. But then again, Lima, Peru, the house of Thalem, is in South America. So these are the two knowledges that you have to learn. The knowledge of the traditions and what was laid down by the natives in the South Americas and in the North Americas. And that's the knowledge that was destroyed using war and the people in the abyss with the manipulation of the Masons. We'll give these idiots the power, put them in charge to rule over these people. So who's in control? Dun, 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 dun. And what does he use to do that? That book, and to pull you to the pit, to alter you. You don't need to be altered. You need to be cultured, not altered. I guess that's that. That's just the way it is.